I've been looking forward to this one for a while
Yes.
because honest to God, it's one of my favorite people, and which reminds me. Just 1 second before we officially begin, get entertain people. They call and show up.
Oh, good. I'm entertaining people here. Oh, with the noise and everything. Hey, it's me, Kathrin Hutson, checking you guys out from my computer. I was not prepared to do a solo entertainment session.
But you should be. But come on, you're a rock star. You can figure that out. You can totally figure that out. I know you could.
Oh yeah. No, I just sat here and said ridiculous things.
Which is totally a cool deal. So
yeah.
I said this here like this. So this is a good series.
Thank you.
This is a good series.
You got book 2.
I did get book 2.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, no. So I'm gonna say this here. It reminded me of the best ways of kind of like the Wizard of Oz, except the main character is stuck in the house, and instead of the house falling on her, she's now just stuck in the house. It's like, what if the Wicked Witch has actually been in the house instead, right? And I'm like, it kind of works and it kind of fits because it's just like, but it's not what I'm reading right this minute, but I'm going to be reading it very soon. I did get it in the mail because I like your stuff. Kat, I got news. You're good at what you do. You're really good at what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you think so. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Well, yeah.
So am I. That's
you have to be. So you went from like this like really dark, like kind of tragic character to still kind of darkish, but she's got a little bit more charm. I think a little bit more charm to her. And there's a little bit more. It's a little more lighthearted in comparison.
Yeah. So far.
She's plotted. She's like, and then all of a sudden she's like, "You haven't gotten far enough."
Oh yeah, I couldn't keep it light, through the series. So it goes to some dark places, but there's always some more slight comedy to help it along, which is nice.
Yeah, comedy to help it along.
Just kind of darker and darker, but that's my jam.
Yes,
so.
No, it's cool. Like we all like you're like the heavy metal fantasy rock star of writing. That's what you are.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
I'll take it. That's a great compliment.
Yeah, no, I figure you're based on what you're kind of like the Night Witch / Tarja to like you're in that realm of metal. I don't feel like you got some power in you. But you also got like this cerebral style to you as well.
Nice.
Yeah. You good with that? You good with that?
I'm totally cool with it. I'll take it.
You were right though. I gotta tell you something. I hate to say this on the air, but you're right. So Kat, I gave her my first book, and she's very nice to me about it. She's like, it could have been better, right? Right. I'm like, I worked so hard on it. She was right.
Trust me, I've had so many of those of my own. It's not just a you thing.
No, it's everybody does this.
All of us. Yes.
You get so excited for the idea that sometimes you're like, I can't wait. Like, I'm almost tempted to ask you. I'm not going to pressure you to do this on the air because if you say no, it's going to make you feel really bad, right? But because I don't want to do that to you, I won't do that to you on the air. But it's one of those things where just you had some really good insights, and I'd be very I'm the one I'm actually writing / drawing, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually writing and drawing it. I think you'd be much more impressed. It's already even though it's still in draft 1, I believe I'm letting it sit while I'm finishing my poetry book because that's kind of important right now because of just everything that's just kind of been happening. So it's I gotta get the next one of those done because yeah. But after that, just but you're a good friend because you will tell people exactly what you think and you do it in the best of intentions and you're like, oh, thank God.
No, well, thank you. I know what it's like to not hear what you want to hear. And for me personally, it's even worse to have someone not tell me the complete truth, because then, I get into a mind space of like, it makes me freak out even more. I will always be honest, and I will always do it kindly to the best of my ability. I hope I still succeed with that.
But honestly, like straight up, honesty is kindness. It's sometimes it comes out harsh, but honestly, it's the kinder truth. Because here's the thing: it's like you just said, you cannot be told this, and it's because it's not always nice to tell the truth. It's not the nicest thing in the world. But when I find out the truth later, it's nowhere near as nice either, right?
Yeah, that's usually
That's
how it has worked in my experience.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Yeah, like here's the thing, like we can deceive ourselves for a while. It's like, hey, my shit doesn't stink, but sooner or later you can't ignore the smell, and usually by the time you get to that point, it's gonna hurt a heck of a lot more, because it's just like, especially if you're not aware of it, and it just hits you. It's actually quite brutal. Like it's far more brutal. Someone actually goes to you, hey, listen, you want to hear the truth? You're not gonna like this, but this comes from a place of respect. That was where you were coming from, right?
It was. I'm glad that you saw it that way. Some people don't, and that's just where they are. And I'm glad that you did.
Well, no, actually that's the hard thing about the truth, right? Like I've had to be brutally honest too, and sometimes it doesn't come across kind. Like that's the thing. Like sometimes the truth does not come across kind. Truth is, it's actually the kinder alternative. Sometimes it's going to be a hard choice no matter what you do. And in that situation, I would rather just be warned that, okay, this is the problem. You need to fix this. Right? And the only way you're going to know this is if someone actually comes tell you the truth. The biggest thing I've learned is, in this business, your ego takes a beating. It just does. It has to take a bit of a beating. Right? It has to.
Yeah. And the more you let it get hit, the stronger it gets. Like, keep going. Yeah. No, there are plenty of things, like, it's never a good feeling to get reviews for anything. But, they're just stuff that readers don't like. It wasn't for them. And sometimes that can feel harsher than 500% more positive reviews than the one.
I've decided like this is what's going to happen, because I know inevitably I'm going to get bad reviews. I know me getting bad reviews, like, for shame, right? It's kind of like, it'll never happen. Of course it's gonna happen, right? It's going to happen. What I'm going to remember is when I struggled to get better, my stuff wasn't good. And my stuff was never going to, your stuff's never going to be what you hope on the inside, what you imagine it to be. It never quite works out the way you imagine it to, like, ever.
Not.
Right? But I think the best thing I can honestly say, and the best thing I can honestly say is, it's not far from the person that's actually doing it. And, like, I would rather have a group of people that are in my corner always, right, than to necessarily be liked by everybody for the wrong reasons.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Even when the people who are in your corner will say, it could be better.
But that's, again, it's not from a bad place. I mean, you'd be giving me like a hug or probably a cookie or something. It's like, there you go.
You'll be okay, man. You'll be okay.
What I do, I think the hardest thing, and I think I've learned, and I've made this mistake, and I think the hardest mistake we make is recognizing the fact that we are very flawed people, and when we're that invested, maybe you just need to take a step back and just let yourself feel all those terrible things you feel when someone hates your stuff. Just let yourself feel it. It's like, yeah, how could you? How could you do it? And then let it all out. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to scream, scream. If you need to just like play video games for like a few hours, go play video games.
Yeah.
But when it's over, when it's over, like when that feeling subsides a little bit, you gotta be honest with yourself. Okay, this is not right. This is, again, I'm speaking from the benefit of hindsight. I've learned this lesson the hard way too.
Right.
I'm speaking with the benefit of hindsight.
You're trying to shove it down for so long, and it just
No. You just you make these mistakes, and you just hope you're better the next time. That's all you can really hope for. I think that's not just a craft lesson, but that's a life lesson. Like every day you try to be a little bit better than what you were the day before. And sometimes I win those battles. Sometimes I lose those battles. And I accept the fact that, you know what, again, my shit's going to stink. And I'm just going to try to go forward anyway. Does that make sense?
No, totally. It totally makes sense. I actually had somewhat of a similar experience over the weekend. I've been so crazy busy lately, and there are things coming up. My in-laws coming to visit, which I'm so excited about, and also I'm trying to cram in all this work to have it all done on time, so I can actually take the week off while they're here. Which so far it's working out to be aligned, but I was super incredibly stressed, and I'd been trying to hold it all together for a long time. But then I did just say, okay, I had to step away from the computer and force myself not to worry about it over the weekend, which I'm not even supposed to be working on the weekend, so I didn't. And took a few days to just, I cried a little bit, and then pushed it all aside and did fun stuff with my family. And I've learned, from my own personal experience, that when I do let myself just experience all the feels that are really awful to experience in the moment, the time between the next time that has to happen gets longer and longer. And so it's working up a resilience to those things, I guess.
There's that, but also, just think of where you were and where you're at now. You're like an adult. What the hell, man?
That's still weird. I feel nowhere near adultish, or old enough to be responsible for a child.
I'm gonna be 40 this year. I still don't. Wow. I know I don't look it, do I? No. It's like I'm gonna be 40. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? How did I get this old? And you know what I'm like? This is my midlife crisis. Like, this is literally what I'm doing. I'm buying a van. I'm putting the Just Joshing logo on this van.
Nice.
Okay, and I'm just traveling both countries for the next few years because I'm crazy and I can do whatever the hell I want, and I'm just gonna do whatever the hell I want. And
why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You'd be cool if I stopped by and interviewed you actually in your home.
That would be crazy if we're still here.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Just let me know. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd come in. And then we could do something really fun. I can meet your kids. I can see why they're probably little versions of you and your significant other, and it'd be like, oh my god, they're you, but better and scarier and smarter than you were, and you're like, oh my god.
It's like you have kids. Well,
it's why it's kind of honestly the thing that if I do, I would not mind kids. I'm gonna be just honest. I'm at that point in my life where I can go either way. But if I'm with the right person, totally wouldn't mind kids. But I see, for me, it'd be a little girl that would be smarter than me and own me. Literally, that's that's my worst. It's one of the best thing and worst nightmare at the same time, because I do not think I could control that monster. It'd just be I'm done.
Yeah. Well, it happens sometimes, but you can't be done. And then you get over it, realize you don't want to be. So it's
well, Well, I like I've said this with other like when they're younger, you do have to be a bit more of a tyrant when they're younger because otherwise they take over the house. And then when they're actually ready to the house, you can take a step back and kind of let them try and see what happens, right? And I kind of feel like that's what parenting is you try to teach them what you think will work in life, and some of it will, and some of it will be discarded because life happens, and what right and but for the rest, and then once you feel like they have that whatever foundation you feel that they need to have, you kind of step back and let them figure it out. I mean, that's what I think it is. I mean,
hopefully that's the plan. Yeah. There's definitely, there's definitely a fine line between being able to figure out what you think will work, like with you as a parent and your own child as your child, versus like separating that from what you experienced as a kid with your own parents, knowing what doesn't work and somehow like trying to break those things apart.
Did you ever have that eureka moment? It's like, oh my god, I'm my mom. It's like, oh my god, I'm a dad. Like, did you ever have that happen?
An ego moment?
No, just like one of those like all of a sudden you're doing something because you have to discipline your kid or something like that, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, I'm my parents.
Yeah, yes, I've had many of those, and those were actually mostly when my daughter was younger. She'll be 5 in October, and there are so many things that just remind me of so many things. But most of my like, oh my gosh, I'm saying exactly what my parents said, has happened in the last couple of years, or like, wow, I completely understand why they said all those things that drove me absolutely up the wall, because it's true. So like, I understand my parents a lot more now.
and you're like, okay, so now I go to the adult drinks because now I understand that part of it now too. It's like you can't escape. You can't escape.
It just continues, the good things continue.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, some stuff, like I said, I figure, and again, I speak just as an outsider. I know some of the stuff that worked on me isn't going to work on my kids, and some stuff that worked on you isn't going to work on your kids either. They're going to be like, we're a different breed, and you're like, I got to figure this out.
Right. Yeah. And there's that aspect too of your parenting. Not everyone does this, but for those people who are parenting with a significant other, with the kid's other parent, or whoever it happens to be, you never really, you can you can talk all you want about what you plan to do as parents and how you plan to approach situations, but like the game totally changes once that human actually comes into the picture, and you're like, well, just like everything else in life, all the plans went right out the window, and we're just gonna wing it because that's literally all we can do.
It's amazing how much like our plans just completely just don't work. I almost understand why some people just don't have a plan. I almost understand it, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like you need the compass of that plan, like the idea of like getting you in that direction you kind of want to go. That's what the plan's for. I've just come to realize that the details probably aren't going to go out all the way you thought they would.
No, it's like writing a book.
Yeah.
At least for me, I have a basic outline, and that's it. Like no details at all, because probably not.
I have 3-line like plots for chapters when I do plot them now, because it's like, why more than that? Because if I do anything more than that, it will blow up in my face. In fact, it'll laugh at me and mock me.
Yes, it does.
Like something like the poetry book I'm working on right now. Alice is playing croquet in the underworld against Jason of the Argonauts.
Oh yeah.
That's cool, right?
Excellent.
That's excellent.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So I had this idea of using Stygian birds as flamingos. Like, you know how Alice had the flamingos as the croquet, like.
Yeah.
I had the idea of Stygian birds, like from the because it's here in the underworld, right? So you might as well just go with the whole like Stygian like vibe, right?
Yeah, bring the theme.
Yeah, exactly. Like no, it's actually also and also because I pretend to be smart, right? Jason and the Argonauts dealt with the Stygian birds as one of their like part of their journey to get to that golden fleece at the very end. So it's like it's a cool little homage to who Jason was, right? Without actually saying it, right?
Yeah.
So I had this really fun idea that Jason and Alice would approach the birds very differently. Jason would be because much like in Greek mythology, Jason, if you sit there and look at it, he's only really a hero because he wins. There's no other good reason for him to actually be a hero if you really sit there. I mean, he lies, he cheats, he manipulates people. He has the god pretty much on his beck and call to do whatever bidding he needs at whatever whim, right? Like this is not a guy that had that this is a guy with a pretty stacked deck. I mean, he sounds like a villain just based on everything I just said. He sounds like a villain, right? So yeah. Well, I have a line in the story. It's like, why am I a hero? Seriously, why do you guys think me a hero? It's because I win. It's the only reason you think me a hero, right? I'm like, that might be one of the smarter things I've said in this book. So, right, might be one of the smarter things I've said in this. Anyways, so Alice's Stygian bird I decided would be so Jason bullies his like just is a complete and total asshole to his. Alice, and so in my story, Alice has the cat inside her head and in her shadow as well. So it's kind of like it's a fun little thing. So Alice actually talks the bird into helping her. So now so they are actually working like all three of them are working as a unit, whereas Jason is very much so now this bird has a personality, and I'm like I did not and I have not and suddenly I have like this little inside story I'm not going to talk about between both Stygian birds, right? Because they're part of the story. They're part of the story too now. It's like, okay, I did not plan this. Like what the hell? Like that's a specific like plot thing I'm working on right now. It's like I did not plan for this. How the hell did this happen? Yeah.
We're gonna run with it. We're just gonna run with it. See where it goes. You have to. I mean, like it shows up for a reason, especially when you didn't plan for it. That's my thinking. Is that like if it was never part of the plan to begin with, and it comes about because that's just where the story goes, then you can't turn away from that. Like it's.
Well, no, you can't. No, you have to ride it out because it's. Oh, that again. I'm just something I've reflected upon with myself is my trajectory as an artist, author, or whatever the hell you want to describe me as. At this point in time, is never what I would have imagined it to be, like at all, right? Yeah. And I imagine it's the same with you, right? Totally. Yeah, right. But I bet you if you looked at it really close, it's probably not that different than the person actually doing the stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. They're all very intertwined, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just looking back at personal journey, career journey, it's obviously hindsight is always, 20/20 and amazing. But I can look back at everything and pinpoint like those major moments of like, oh, this is how this got here. I couldn't have planned any of that before time, like ahead of time, even if I wanted to. Like it's completely up in the air. But I have also found, and I'm not sure that this goes along so much with my career trajectory and how I have turned up where I am now versus where I started. But I know for a fact that like no matter how hard I try and I stop trying, I can't separate my own journey from my own life from the journey of many of my characters. And that's just, they're all very, very different, extremely different. They go in all kinds of directions. But I find myself in the middle of writing whatever it is that's mine and saying, oh, wow, that is coming straight from this, and I had no idea first, but I'm gonna run with it.
The stuff you really give it, like the stuff you really care about, shows up no matter what, because that's the stuff that matters. What we bring to, like we're often not, we're kind of like conduits to whatever stories we're telling. Like that's what I find is there's a certain point where you're just going with the flow, and that's like you'll come up with this like idea of like, hey, this seems good, and like I said, I have 2 Stygian birds now that did not plan on at all, right? So it was like, oh my god, okay, so now I got that little story kind of building in the background, in the horizon there, and it's like, all right, so, but here's the thing, right? The thing I care about in this story, which again, it's appropriate for me, is I'm talking about what a hero is and what bravery actually is. Mm-hmm. And is that different from the guy writing the story? Not really.
No. Yeah.
Not really, right? And it's like, so that's going to be the spaghetti that sticks to the wall. And I'm like, if my whole life's like that, then what I need to do is kind of focus on the things that make me me and just keep doing those things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Which is funny, because like a lot of the time sitting down to write is like, okay, good, I'm going to get away from me. I'm going to get away from my life. No, there's no running.
No.
Embrace it. That's the only option.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to figure that out, for sure.
But you're younger than I am, so you probably got there a little faster than I did. Probably.
I did some crazy stuff.
We both did just different ways. We're both. I'm still doing crazy stuff, right? I just openly don't give a shit. That's like I got the David Chappelle, I'll do what I want kind of thing in me. And it's just like, that's what I'm gonna do. And that's just the way it is, and good.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no, I don't like. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just gonna do my thing, and if you like it, great. If you don't,
just send it on back.
if you that's fine. I'm in your headspace. I kind of already win. Like that's kind of how I look at that. Right? So,
at least I've made an impression somehow.
That's right. Hey, listen. I don't know about you, but like. When I truly make it in this business is when I get 1-star reviews. When I get the 1-star review, I'd be like, I'm in. Yeah. I will have these random nonsense reviews from people that you had no idea were looking at your stuff, and you're like, this helps me not at all, but I made an impression. Thanks for book sales, and thanks for rating my book. I appreciate it. That's what I want. I learned like the great masters of media, like Howard Stern. The people that hated him watched his show, listened to his show more than the people who liked him. I don't understand that part of human psychology very much, but we have this in us. So he fed on that, and I'm like, there's something to be said. Just take a stand on something, and when you take a stand on something, you divide people up. Because how dare you think this way? But I do think this way.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say the intent to divide people up is the best way to go about it. But taking a stance on something knowingly and despite anticipating a certain division or an opposition is definitely better than trying to vanilla your way into everybody's meh.
Can I slightly disagree with you? Slightly.
No, you cannot.
No,
no division.
No division. I want division. Do you want to know why I want a little division? Because see, Kathrin Hutson is an awesome human being with thoughts, feelings, opinions, and experiences I don't have. The fact that we actually we're going to disagree on some things, is actually probably to our benefit for a bunch of reasons. Number one, we see the world differently. That means there's two, at least, interesting ways of looking at the world. We can learn from each other. The trick is that I think division's fine as long as we can still listen to each other, right?
Yeah.
Even if we agree to disagree. For example, you might like chocolate ice cream and I like vanilla ice cream, and that'd be like, we could argue forever which ice cream is better, vanilla, but that's okay. That's neither here nor there, right? But at the end of the day, exactly, Doris. Life would be so boring if we all agreed. We don't need to agree or have actually, we probably shouldn't have. I would be terrified if we had a unified thought.
Absolutely, and I think perhaps my phrasing of that of my statement there was a little vague.
No, it's okay.
I'm saying that doing anything with the intention of pissing people off, like that, people on the other side of an opinion or of a feeling or of an experience, just for the sake of pissing them off without providing any room for discussion or intelligent civil discourse in any realm, is, in my opinion, not the best way to go about something.
Well, no,
because you can create something from a place of fear and anger and like lashing out intentionally, right? And that does a lot more damage than something that is like, absolutely take a stand, be on one side or the other, as long as it resonates with you and you care about it. But for the, unless I guess you care about pissing people off for the sake of it, and then
I think so. I'm not trying to. I just here's where I think me and you will agree. There's this little magic word. It's a great storytelling tool. It's also a great life tool. It's called nuance, right?
Yeah.
Nuance
absolutely.
is a beautiful, beautiful word, because nuance means, like, for example, okay, we can talk about something like we're going to go into the dreaded politics word for just a second, then we're going to come out of it. It's dreaded. Yeah. If I went and said all Democrats are morally adverse and evil people that only care about progress, there's no nuance there, right? Now, if I said I think the Democrats' stance on how they've approached the pandemic is flawed, slightly different.
There you go.
That's a slightly different thing.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Let's say Republicans are just right-wing conservative. They don't care about anything but themselves, right? Now, if I said that about all Republicans, that there's no nuance to that. Now, if I did say I don't agree with the Republicans' deal with health care, I'm being very, very specific about something now. I'm talking about something and I'm criticizing an issue. Now, you can agree or you can disagree, right? But now there's room for discussion. And there's no, because again, nuance. No one's entirely a bad person. Now, some people, right? No one's entirely a good person. I shit stinks. I've said this a few times on this episode, right? It's the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, right? It's the way it goes. But that doesn't necessarily, dismissing a person because of whatever flaws in their character is not cool. But consequently, just looking at somebody being always right because of whatever virtues they may profess to isn't right either. The truth is, we all have things we will agree and disagree on, and just because much like we all of us having assholes, we all have opinions, right? And so, right?
It's true. It is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's and that's how we learn and grow. Like that's how we communicate. That's how we learn. Is we talk to each other about things we give a crap about, and those things matter. You know.
Yeah. It's very true. Very true.
Yeah. You're like, I'm okay with that. That was probably the most fun political discussion you probably have had in a long time because we didn't really go into it.
Yeah, because because it was very nuanced.
Yeah.
I didn't, you didn't actually say anything, so it's fine.
Well, no, again, political discourse isn't like that's that's one of the most easy ones. Like we've gotten to this very point where we have these very binary things. And I think the truth of the matter is, I mean, we don't have to have necessarily binary opinions on things, right? Some things are nuanced. Some things there's legitimate questions for, and I think having those questions isn't a bad thing. But having an understanding of what people choose to do and why they do it, right? Kathrin is a master of words. Kathrin's also really cool. That's also why, that's why Kathrin's on that's why I want Kathrin on my show, because she's just damn cool.
I can be a master of words even when I'm talking. That's insane. Never thought I'd get there. Just no. Cut that out.
I cut that.
Oh yeah.
So let's see. Let's go to something fun here. So this is what I learned. So I went back to a day job for a short term, and I already know it's not going to last that long because
it's not your thing.
It's not.
No, you've rolled around in the greener grass on the other side.
There's that, but also, I mean, I think here's the thing. I realize this very much now. It's just about finding those right markets and doing this. My niches are I tell stories and I let people tell theirs. So that's interviews and like fiction writing. Fiction writing is going to take some time. Interviews are not going to take as much time, but like anything else now, it's about establishing yourself. I figured that, like I said, it took me about 6 to 8 months to really figure that out.
That's not very long.
No.
In the scheme of things, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it took me about 6 to 8 months, right? Like, but it did cost me that year because by the time you figure that out, you have to start looking to go back into day job again because it's like you waste the resources you had, you squandered to some degree. So now you got to rebuild and replenish them again.
I wouldn't call them a waste.
It wasn't.
Squandered, right? They've been utilized.
Yes, that's fair. That's a better word.
And you need more funding.
Yes, I do. That's what it comes down to, right? And now it's like, and so I relearned all kinds of things, and that was the best thing about freelancing. And it was like, so for you, like I said, you went through this whole journey yourself. Mm-hmm. When did that click for you? Like how long did it take you to click on that?
On which part?
Focusing on what you're good at.
Oh, there are like two parts to that. So, I mean, the first one was like in terms of a career sense and doing this as my job, was after I had discovered ghostwriting actually, and realized that there actually is a very large market for ghostwriters. People need them and use them quite a bit. And I had no idea that the financial benefits of ghostwriting were as lovely as they are. And it took me a while to be able to build up my portfolio and my, success rate, I suppose you would call it, to get to the point where I can charge now what I charge now, and I still have work coming in, which is great. And so that was huge for me, just understanding that someone else would pay me for something I had written for them specifically, right? Like not with my name attached to it or anything. And that was really put to the test. Let's see, it was October 2019, so almost 2 years ago, when my husband said that he didn't want to work anymore. We were both just working so much, and I was doing part-time stuff, and we were spending more time working than was actually worth putting in the time to bring in income. And he wanted to spend more time with our daughter, and I'd been, pregnant and then full-time parenting for a couple years. At that point, what was that? For 3 years? Oh my gosh, yeah, it's been a long while. And change being pregnant. But so he asked if that was possible. Like, could you handle this if I stopped working? And it was like a split second. All the thoughts through my head all at the same time, and I didn't exactly know what to think. But then I realized that yes, I could handle it. I could do it. And so we said, okay. He stopped working intentionally because he wanted to, and I had twice as much time to just dive into my work and build this thing. And it worked out. It was a leap of faith, right? Which I've taken plenty of those. That was rather a large one, I think. But it took a lot of work because I wasn't used to working full days, writing full days all the time. Now it's second nature, and I love it so much, and I do it every day. That was the first big one.
Yeah,
What?
I kind of hate you for that because you're there and I'm not, but I get it. Like you worked your ass off to get there, right? So it wasn't like I'm coming into this now, and like 1 year, kind of taking. I'm still writing, but I'm just doing more stuff for me in that right now, just because that's what I have time for. But eventually, the same thing. Like I'm going to get to a certain income stream. Again, when I have a certain income put away, it's like,
later.
Like,
yeah, that's it. Yep. Yeah, no, it's possible. You'll get there.
I know I will.
You keep going. That's the only way to get there. and it's a long game, and there were some periods of time that really sucked. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It was difficult for all, like, my entire family, all three of us, and I'm so glad to be able to say that's behind me now. I think that the second moment of that, like, oh, it clicked, I got this, was actually when I released The Witching Vault and this series, and it just it has skyrocketed. I'm hoping to be able to stop ghostwriting at the beginning of next year because of what I've seen that's possible with the series, and I continue to do it again. I plan to continue doing it with new series and more work, and that's very cool to be seeing this viability of just my stuff.
So for those people wondering, like this is the book series, and now I'm a fan of Kathrin the person because I enjoy Kathrin the person the most. So I was going to pick the series up regardless. It's really good. It's really good. So I a couple things before we move on. So since we call it like the heavy metal author in the urban fantasy realm, so are you gonna like do like a heavy metal like picture of yourself, like maybe just shade, like you got the dreads nailed down, so like maybe just like could do like a black and white like metal pose somewhere somehow because you just like a rock star now.
Yeah, maybe. I kind of have one of those already from a while ago. I've grown into my own photo, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to become a myth and legend in the industry. Who knows, right?
Oh, sweet. Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, that'd be very cool. I'd be okay with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, so wait, was it just like right market, right place, right time? What was it about this story in particular that you feel is the grabbing point? Because I feel there's a commercial part of it, but I also feel there's just something like, what did you bring to that story?
Right? Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, Jessica is like, it's so much of me. Hey, I'm awesome, and my books are awesome. Check it out. But no, it's it's I think, what I did is I took a witch who had just been released from magical prison and threw her into the chaos while she's trying to be someone better than the person she was that landed her in prison in the first place. And that is just a huge part of my story. And I've been there. I haven't been to prison, but I have, been through the system. And, bringing that aspect into it with the decision to use what I have learned about writing to market through ghostwriting and bringing in something completely new and different. I mean, there is a magical bank, which has been done in some way, shape, or form. A la Harry Potter, there's a magical bank in there, right? Just throw that out there. But it's not the same. I never planned to make the bank an actual character with lines and lines and lines of dialogue and its own personality. But that happened. And it worked out really well. And I think with certain story structuring techniques that help that unputdownable quality, readers are burning through pages and they want more, so I hear. And combined with something that's completely new and a little weird and a little how is this gonna get pulled off?
So one of the best advice, one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten from an editor, and it's actually, I think the best piece of advice is write the story only you can tell. Mm-hmm. The story trappings are, there's always fitting that market. This market likes this, it likes this, it likes this, it likes this. Mm-hmm. It's great, right? But to really separate yourself from the pack, it's what does Kathrin Hutson bring to a story that no one else can quite do? And something we talked about at the very beginning is we all have our own voices and our experiences. Mm-hmm. You have a pretty amazing story, honest to God. You have an amazing story, and who you are. I bet you that if you had that conversation 10 years ago with yourself 10 years ago, she never would have believed that she would become you.
No, 10 years ago, absolutely not. Yeah. Not at all. Yeah. No, I was 10 years ago. I was almost a year clean, and I was not writing, and I was in an awful relationship and had no idea what I was doing and just wanted to get out. And I didn't think I would ever write again, actually, 10 years ago. Yeah. Thank goodness I kicked that plan to the curb.
No, but straight up, that's, as a person, who you've become is someone anybody would be proud of. And I don't say it just as a friend. I say that because you did the work. You somewhere it takes a lot of fortitude to change the trajectory of where you came from to where you are now. Mm-hmm. Right? Actually, I should bring this up because this is because I just something just clicked there. I actually asked this question. For you, imposter syndrome must be weird.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is because you went because you have become incredibly successful, and you've earned everything you got. But here's the thing, right? And this is something that I've learned with what little successes I've had. Mm-hmm. Success creates expectations, and I think in your case in particular, it would hit you in I say in a weird way is, number one, you said 10 years ago you never had these expectations for yourself. You do now, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it would. I don't know if it would. I don't think it would cripple you. I think the fact that you have it every once in a while, because everybody does,
Yeah.
you probably get a bit of a kick out of it. And the only reason I say that like that is because here you are with like these big goals and dreams and expectations, and you are seeing yourself progress towards them, which I think is there'd be almost that surreal. Oh my God, I'm feeling this anxiety about this right now, and like holy shit, I have anxiety about this thing that's within reach of my, and I can do it.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's the thing with you. Like it doesn't freeze you. It's just the fact that it would be like there's almost like that double hit of I can't believe I have this expectation for myself. Number one, but number two, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about you. I think right?
Yeah, it's been almost 11 years since I have thought about anything and said, oh, I can't do that. And that sucks. Like, I don't know. I feel like after being in recovery for so long, because that's what it is, it could take literally nothing for me to tumble back down that hill and, I don't put myself in those situations, and that's about as much as I can do. And, sticking with what I'm doing now and reminding myself that I am exactly where I want to be now, even though I had no idea that this is where I wanted to be in the
So
beginning.
in like 5 years from now, I might have like a mystery RB at that point. I'm not like not like
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a very good point.
Exactly.
Though. It's like, yeah, that's a really like you have to be honest. In the dark places, you have to be honest with yourself, and I think that's and because that's all that's there. And I think for anyone that's been in any kind of dark place, they know that, right?
Mhm.
And with people like anyone that's survived a very hard ordeal just recognizes that. It's also why I know she'll never go back into that place again. The next time I probably like down the road, she's gonna be like she's still gonna have like the dreads, but she'll have like a hardcore like business suit, right? Maybe like no suit. So okay, I should ask this: like when you quote unquote dress up, what does that look like for you? Do you dress up? Because I could see you being like I could literally see like a down the road like bestseller lists, awards, things of that nature could come your way, and all of a sudden you're gonna be like this ultimate success story. And I'm not like trying to like build you up like this like crazy thing, but it's just like it's possible. Your books are doing well. You're making noise. Like you've been reviewed in some very cool places, right? Right.
Yeah,
So I mean,
awesome.
yeah. So I mean, like you could like it's conceivable within the next 5 years. Yes. Yeah. What is? I'm just asking what's fashionable. Yeah. What's fashionable exactly?
I mean, I obviously have my own definition of that. I mean, when I dress up, I'll put on a dress for an occasion.
That's it.
It's not really ever something I think about. I like just the idea of a suit makes me feel really hot and uncomfortable.
No, okay,
Thinking about it, so I'm like, it's about comfort, So like that's pretty much it. I can make whatever I'm wearing. Well, I mean, it's like
actually, I've been dying to know for a while now. The book was
better.
Okay, gotcha. I was like, I can't read. The book was what? Like,
what was it?
Yeah, exactly.
It was unfinished. What were we talking about?
We're talking about 5 years now. You're like the rock. You're like you are actually a full-time rock star at this point in time. And you're just doing these really cool books that make everybody around you go, "Wow, how did you do it?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That'll be cool. I definitely would not say that is out of the realm of possibility.
Oh.
It's
So
there.
if you can't talk about this next part, I totally understand. But I just thought I'm going to ask anyway because it's always a fun question.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a good television series. This would be a very good television series.
Thank you. You're not
Yes.
the first person who's told me that.
Yeah, I know. But I also know that if I'm not the only one telling you that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're also kind of the kind of person that could kind of go, well, what would it take to make that happen? Because that would be a very cool thing. Now, if you can't talk about it, that's totally fair. I'm not gonna I get it, but I mean, do you see yourself going into like movies, television, video games? Because I actually think video games is another one of those realms that it's still relatively untapped by authors that I really think
oh yeah,
a lot more.
It could be cool for sure. Yeah. This makes me sound ridiculous in my own head, but I'm gonna say it. I would absolutely entertain the process of trying to adapt any of my work for film or television, what have you. If it landed in my lap, it's not something I'm trying to actively pursue at the moment.
That's not crazy. Honestly,
right.
no, that's not crazy. That's not or ridiculous. No. It's not. It's not because honestly, one like from a purely business perspective, which is not purely business, it still gives you the leverage because it's not something you're actively seeking. Ergo, you don't really. The person with the most leverage in a deal usually is the person that gives the least amount of shits. Right. Usually,
it sucks, but it's true. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Usually, the person with the leverage is usually. It's not always the case, but almost always the case. Yeah. Oh, will that be the exception to the rule? The Blue Helix series, yes.
The Blue Helix is turned into. It would just depend on who's in it and who's making it.
Yes, fair enough.
And I would still have to say the books are better. I mean, I'm not gonna. Gonna throw my own beat my own work to pieces and tear it up and rip it up and say no, movies are so much better than what I created. I don't know.
No, it's fair.
What happened? Yeah.
It's fair. No, I bring it's like that's the first part, but the second part is like it's not your goal. Your goal is to tell the best stories you can, and you're much more comfortable in the book realm than you are. Right? If you wanted to do television, I'm sure you could, but you'd have to want to do it. And honestly, you like the thing about the best thing about the books, unlimited budget. You can do like anything you want in a story, and it's your story, and you can
That's
go
true.
Right?
The special effects are awesome.
That's right.
And they didn't cost me anything more than no special effects. So it's totally
exactly, right? And that's exactly like I don't honestly. I've seen this just from firsthand, like from secondhand experience, just being around people that have had the Hollywood deals. They are a very special kind of hell, right? So they are very special.
I've heard this as well.
Yes.
And, I would dive down the rabbit hole just to see where it went.
Yeah, no, totally.
I just happened to.
But the fact that you're not actively seeking it also means this for it too. It's like this: if this ride sucks, I'm out. That right?
Yeah, and I mean that is I'm at this point in what I'm doing, I am no longer interested in doing something I don't want to do. Like I can't ever imagine working for someone else. Yes, I am, accountable to my clients, but I pretty much still have creative reign with everything I do, and that's what I bring to the table is my expertise for and with them. And if I don't want to take on a project, I don't have to take on a project. And pretty soon here, I'll be able to say, you know what, I'm just going to sit back and write my own stuff now because that's possible. So if it takes extra work and puts me through a special kind of hell, not particularly interested in it.
So or the hell has to pay you excessively well to be worth it. Like, I mean, but
yeah, and like have a high probability of not like ruining my work.
yeah,
Or,
well, yeah,
like reflecting poorly on me as an author for creating
so
something that's
what you're secretly hoping is the J.K. what happened to J.K. Rowling, which is this: the original plan for Harry Potter was the first 3 books were like going to be one movie. That was the original plan from Warner Brothers when they gave it, and then book 3 went like crazy, gonzo nuts. Yeah, and book 3 is still the best book in that series, in my opinion. It's just it's the best one.
Which one's book 3?
Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah,
it's still the best one in that series. Yeah, it's the best one. It's easily the best one in the whole series, and but the thing is, once they blew, I can see why it blew up. It's a really, really good story, and the thing about that is, right? So she had so much of a demand for her books were so successful. She basically went to Warner Brothers and gave them a price to just to use the franchise, not to buy it, but to use it. It was such a high price that they realized that she didn't need them to make a movie. She could do it on her own. and they wanted to be part of that gravy train, and that was the ultimate. It was still hell for her sometimes, but it was a very well compensated hell. Like say what you will about her personality, she knew how to do a good business deal when she saw that, right?
Yeah, and the success of that entire Brandon Harry Potter franchise is absolutely gigantic. Like that to me is unfathomable right now. Like for my own stuff, that's no one's gonna like it that much.
You never know. But that's just it. Like you never know. Like anything else in life, right? Game of Thrones was written for about 16 years before the television ever noticed it, right?
Right, and it wasn't even finished.
Yeah, still not. I'll let you in on a little secret. I did not watch the series for one very simple reason. I wanted to finish the books. Looking back, that might have been the best call all the way around, right? The only season I watched was season 1. And season 1's great, but it's also like I'm just gonna wait till the books are done, because if the books are done, then I'll watch and kind of compare. And I think on one hand I'm very sad. On the other hand, right? On the other hand, I'm like, you know what? Honestly, I got you. I got Brandon Sanderson. I got Fonda Lee. I got I got Alana Andrews. I got hold on. I got Susie Vidori. I got Adam Dries. I got lots of authors I can read.
We're finishing.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Right? And in my particular unique cases, I've been very fortunate as I've gotten to meet so many, all of you on some level or another in an incredible way, and I feel very flattered. So I get like almost like a double insight there. I don't know George. No, I'd love to interview him someday. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't know him.
Yeah.
So right. So right. So it's like I'll never get quite that same experience reading George. Right. I interviewed Spider Robinson, so when I read a Spider Robinson now, I get a little bit more insight into who Spider the person, because I talk to Spider the person, right?
So and that is cool. There's definitely something to be said for that, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask one final question before we have to wrap up, because I know you have kids. Actually, I got 2. I got 2. I wanted 2 real quick.
2 questions. I have 1 kid.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Gotcha.
No.
I've been dying to ask you since I've noticed this. What's your tattoo on your right arm?
Oh, this. Okay.
Yeah.
This is my tree of life, but it is not I don't know. It's different. It's a little bit different. Tree of Life. It's crooked and it's gnarly and it's purple, but it's still a tree.
So I got a compliment once from a friend of mine. I'm not gonna mention who, but when she first saw me, she said, "You were like a tree that had been struck by lightning."
Hmm.
And the reason, and that's kind of why I feel like when I look at that, the same thing. The thing is, any tree that's been struck by lightning or survived some major damage to it, right, is actually stronger than the tree that looks perfectly normal because it's way stronger because it's just what it's been through. So I kind of look at that little. I'm gonna call it crooked yig, Giselle. Can I call it crooked yig? Are you cool with me calling that crooked yig?
What? Cricket what?
Yig Giselle, the World Tree. Have you ever do you know Norse
Oh,
mythology?
yes. And that's exactly what I was going for.
Yeah, you're crooked yig because you survived your own lightning strike. So that's one. But actually, I should ask this. I've never asked this. This is probably the lame, in one way, the lamest thing I've ever asked you. But the other, it's so interesting at this point. Who's your writing influence? Like, who did you grow up like loving to read?
Stephen King.
Stephen King?
Yeah. John Irving, William Gibson. That's who I grew up reading, and so they've been with me through the entire process. And Doris said Anne Rice. Yes, Anne Rice so far with Vampire Lestat and all the series.
So my
first vampire books I ever read, and they're still my favorite.
so my favorite Anne Rice book is Pandora. I enjoyed Pandora a lot, actually. Yeah, I've read that one. I've enjoyed. Stephen King. I'm a Dark Tower guy.
Oh yes, yeah. How have we never talked about the Dark Tower? We have to have.
We've mentioned it, but we've never actually gone in depth with it.
Oh, that would not be interesting or exciting for anyone who hasn't read these books.
I wouldn't care. We'd have a blast.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we'd have a blast. And next time you come, we'll do it. We'll just do our Dark Tower Love Fest.
Man.
But I gotta ask this, William Gibson, what books of Gibson? Because I found, like, for me, I read Neil Stephenson first, then I read Gibson. So for me, it was like when I read Gibson, it almost was like, it's like when I read Tolkien, when I read Robert Jordan first and I read Tolkien, like, he's the guy that made this genre possible, and I respect him, but Stephenson did it better. So for me, it was just like,
okay.
Yeah, that's my opinion. That's
right.
That's yeah.
Perfectly valid. Yeah. So you don't think that Gibson did it better?
No, I think Gibson did it first, and I think I think the cool thing is like the guy first through the wall. The guy first through the wall is taking the biggest chances. So I will always give nothing but respect for Neuromancer's awesome. Mona Lisa Overdrive is pretty cool. I've read a couple others of his as well. I think Gibson's actually a better short fiction guy than he is a long form guy. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Okay. Right? Yeah. But Stephenson, for me, like Snow Crash, I love Snow Crash so very much. I haven't read it. That's closest to like Gibson homage. And then he goes to the Young Ladies Illustrated Primer, which is like, what if a computer program actually hit turn a poor girl into like this badass? It's really cool. Then there's another name for it too, I think. And then he did. I've read Quicksilver, and I've read the Baroque Cycle, which is really, really fun. Cryptonomicon. Okay, that book's a monster. I totally admit that book's a monster, and it's not for everybody. No, it's not for everybody. No, that one is not for everybody. But I can respect, like, the world building is phenomenal.
Absolutely, yeah. It's bigger than it is, which is totally fine. Have you read Pattern Recognition? That's Gibson's.
I did not read that one.
That is my all-time favorite of his, just like above everything else. Neuromancer was okay,
Neuromancer was first, so I always give it a low love.
Right. Start there, but Pattern Recognition is like by far and away better than all the other things. And I liked, it's a Noru, Inoru, I think. That as well.
I that one, Idaru. I think that's the one you're thinking about.
Or Idaru, thank you.
Yeah, Idaru. Yeah, I haven't read that one yet. So no, he said like that. No, like I told.
Just good.
like I said, I have nothing but respect for anyone that comes first because I'm never gonna say they're bad. It's kind of like, no, you're not bad. I read him first, so it's just like it was one of those things where it's just like, yeah, it's like it's also like why I like it's also why I like Charles Lint more than I like Neil Gaiman because I read the Lint first.
How weird! I love them both, and
yeah, I do.
Different.
But they're from the Ray Bradbury tree. There's from different parts of the Bradbury tree. Charles Lint has like this almost otherworldly say, but he's still talking about stories. Like he's just talking about different stories than Gaiman did. Gaiman's more of a classic mythology kind of dude. I respect him, but after reading Ray Bradbury first, after reading Charles Lint second, I get to Gaiman. It doesn't have the same. One notable exception, Sandman. I love Sandman. Sandman's great. Yeah. Sandman's awesome, right? Yeah. But
I also, that was the first Neil Gaiman thing I ever read, and I was in high school.
Yeah, I know.
So that has come with me.
Yeah, no, Sandman's great, but
that's incredible.
And also another guy I prefer his shorts. Emmets for Magic's brilliant. I love that collection. It's so fun, right? But I find his fiction, like his longer fiction, if I read it and I compare it to say something the Lint does, or even Bradbury, although Bradbury's more a short guy than he is a longer guy, I just find that again, I just feel like that magic, suspense, surprise that Gaiman has, I kind of see it coming a little bit more because I get where he's coming from, and it doesn't hit me. It's not that I'm not saying he's good, right? Yeah. All right, I'm not saying he's not good because that's I'll never say
all
that.
About where you're coming from.
Yeah, but I will say there is one other book I really love from Neil Gaiman, and that's Good Omens. I love him and Pratchett's collaboration. It's so fun.
It is wonderful. It is wonderful.
Yeah, no, Dark Tower is so good. It's honestly my favorite fantasy series. It made me cry.
Oh my gosh. So I think it was in either April or May, I finished my journey to the tower for the 10th time.
I wish I could.
I get something different out of it every single time, and I never cry at the same parts. And so I finished book 7 at the end and just was like, I was angry crying, and then just like, this hit me so much harder than the last time. Why? And my husband came up to me and was like, are you okay? I had just finished this book. Do you want a hug? No, back off. I went upstairs into my office so I could mourn.
Finish your breakdown.
Right, in private. Like you haven't read it. You don't understand. I'm not gonna like.
So let's see if we agree on this one. My opinion, Wizard and Glass is the best thing Stephen King has ever written.
That used to be my original opinion, and it no longer is after having read the series 10 times.
Okay, so which one's your favorite?
Of the 7.
Mm-hmm. Went Through the Keyhole, kind of. I'm not saying it isn't a good story, but
it is. It's just
it's nostalgia. It's more of a nostalgia trip than it is.
Totally, and it can be read beyond the others without really losing too much.
Yeah.
I honestly, at this point, having read it so many times, I would say it's a tie between Wolves of the Kala and the Dark Tower. Yeah, 5 and 7. And I used to really not enjoy reading Song of Susanna. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous, and like the story seemed to just go off in no particular direction, and it's not True. You find like all
No. It
things.
needs to be there. It is, although it is the least emotionally satisfying of the last 3 books. It is
absolutely
required for the last book. It is
and
absolutely.
It has
right.
So many layers.
He's setting that table up. That's what he's doing because he knows, like every good story, you gotta make it. You gotta build that anticipation for what you think is coming. And then when you read book 7, you're like, this is not how I expected it to go at all. And there's
goosebumps.
And then there's I'm not going to spoil it for anyone that actually is listening and hasn't read because this series is so good. I'm not spoiling it. Hey, Jag, how you doing? Right, I'm not going to spoil. I will say this. This is what I'll say. When the bow breaks in book 7, doesn't stop the whole way through. Dark Tower. We're both we're both Dark Tower nuts. But the thing is, once it breaks, it just doesn't stop. But I will say this, in just an individual standalone, I still think it's Wizard and Glass, only because, and this is the only reason I say this. I'm not spoiling a word.
No spoilers.
No, the next time she comes on the show, though, this is gonna be a fair warning to everybody. We're probably gonna do like a Dark Tower. Yeah, we'll go deep. But here's the deal. We're gonna start with their short, Little Sisters of Eluria, because that is amazing.
That is a good one.
Yeah. That is amazing. Yeah. That's a great way. That's where we start. But probably not. Yeah. Well, me and Kat will figure it out when it's over. But I think Wizard and Glass stands. 7 is so powerful, especially because, but it also has the 6 books to build it up.
Yeah, it would not be true. Yeah. And I used to think the same way about Wizard and Glass because it had a complete story within the section of the journey of their quartet, and because they're really just like in a stasis and not really going anywhere.
Don't make me choose friends, Jag. I can't win that fight. I can't win. Like, I just can't win because, number one, no, she has kick-ass hair. We click. Like, legitimately speaking, I would go like where she is right now. I would go where she is right now. Right? We would go hang out and just talk for hours. Like that. Like that's how. That's so. Like, yeah. Like we are that, and we don't know each other that well, but we just click, and it's just one of those. Yeah. We just click. Yeah. And Jag, I like you too. Like I like
you didn't say any of those things about you. So.
Yeah. Right. I like you. I think you're great too. But this is why I don't like having these conversations. Which friend do you like more? Because what ends up happening is I lose because if
you just say it. You just say neither of you.
Yeah, I still lose because then both of you is like, oh, you're just lying to us now. It's like, yes, I am. Now piss off. Leave me alone. But no, I no Wizard and Glass, but I get it. Like Dark Tower's the finale is, I cried like 4 times when I first read it. The first time I read it, it was like it breaks so hard. It just does. And when you get there, and I think the part that really kills me is I knew the ending, but I still had to go on that journey anyway.
That's the thing, though. I feel like it is the same journey for the reader as it is for Roland. There is something new every single time, something new to be learned. Inherently what's coming, like you've been there before, and yet it is not the same.
Actually, okay. Last thing, then we'll wrap this up. The true ending of the Dark Tower is that poem. That is the true ending.
Yeah. And it was the beginning too.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's the true ending.
Rad.
Yeah, no, it was so clever. And no, Jag, we're not spoiling a damn thing saying that. You have to see it for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's so worth it. So worth it.
So, yeah, we went longer than we promised. I'm sorry, Kat.
Yeah, it's okay. We did just a little bit, and then when we stop the show, I'll be like, "Peace out. I really gotta go."
Yeah, no, it's all cool. I'll do the quick. We'll have to do the quick wrap up here. So, Kat Hutson is an author extraordinaire. What's out now? Like, what just came out?
Book 5 of Accessory to Magic. It's a spell cascade. That's book 2.
That's book 2 right here. That's what they look like. They all look like
two.
this. They're amazingly cool looking.
Thank you. Yeah, they're not all the same cover. Yes, book 5 is coming out on the 24th, so like just a little over a week, and then the series will be completed, and I'm so excited. So that's gonna be. It's been a wild ride for the whole series, and I'm excited to. Seen my stuff before.
Yeah. Jag, it wouldn't shock me. She's quite. I have to say it. She's quite good. Yeah, right. Just pick. So my recommendation is I'm a big fan of thefirstStar.com. That's actually where I first read her, right? But
the daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, that book is really, really good.
Thank you. It's my very first. You like to start at the beginning, all right?
Yeah. So go finish book 1, and yeah. So book 5's your recent release. Do you have anything more coming out this year, or is it that's the master plan for the year?
I imagine I'll have something else coming out this year. I can only think of one series project at a time, but if everything goes the way I want it to, I'll be having the 3rd Blue Helix book out either by the end of this year or beginning of next year. So
that by the way, I think it's Sleepwater Beat, right? It's the first one on that.
Yeah, that's book 1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And where can people find you, Kat?
You can find me on my website. It's got everything about my books. It's KathrinHutsonFiction.com, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Kathrin Hutson Fiction, on Twitter at Exquisitely Dark, and my books are kind of halfway split between solely on Amazon in Kindle Unlimited, which is great, and then available also wide, so as well as Barnes & Noble and Kobo, Apple Books. You'll find me there.
You two will get along fairly well. Jag's actually pretty cool. He's really, really, really sweet. And honestly, Kat is literally one of my favorite guests. Like, I love talking to her. So, on that note, though, time is up. So I want to say this real quick before we go. So if you guys haven't watched on my page, Alice Zero is officially nominated for an Elgin Award for a chapbook this year. Woo! Yeah.
Awesome.
So tomorrow, I got a nice, wonderful, fun little announcement. I might just come on, do the announcement, and go. But if you like Alice Zero, Alice 1 is going to just totally rock and or roll. So that is officially a done deal. I literally posted it. I'll be posting it everywhere. So you want to buy support. If you haven't bought an Alice Zero yet, you might want to do that now because some really cool things are coming sooner than later. As is, my Twitch is at 70 followers. It's gonna get more people to come on a regular basis because I'm that close to affiliate. So come watch it. My YouTube channel is Joshua Pantellaresco. Click the like and subscribe button there. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. I will see you guys Wednesday with a really cool guest. All right, guys. Take care.